what sort of little things do you feel like you're hearing too much of? What are you getting sort of fed up of? Because there's a few, and I'm not trying to sound all cynical, it's just I think there are a few little things that I hear all too often in guitar. And, I suppose on a more positive note, what are maybe some of the things that if you want to stand out as a metal player, okay, maybe don't do that so much, What do you think some of those would be? I can give you one example. I think the pick scrape is overused. Like the upward harmonic pick scrape, that sound. Yeah. It's like it works in places. Gojira do their thing with it, but I'm just like, it's not, I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't do it for me. It does in places. I think it's like a cool little supplementary thing, but I'm not a fan of it being like a part of the riff, if you know what I mean, personally.
Yeah, if it's like a little passing bit between two riffs, but...
Yeah. It's becoming like part of the riff, and I'm just like, I don't know if it just doesn't count for me. I'm just like, that's just a nothing note.
That's a good question, actually, because that's it's a difficult one to answer without sounding like sort of an arse.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I just did. Yeah, no, but I know. But you can have your. You don't have to say that it sucks. It can just be personal preference, right? Like, I'm not saying that sucks. I'm just saying personally, I don't like hearing too much of it.
One of the things that I find a little, I've always found a little bit confusing is when people use strange time signatures for the sake of using strange time signatures when they literally don't make any, sometimes they don't even make any rhythmic sense, because that's kind of the reason why you use those time signatures is to create some form of rhythmic difference from other stuff. But when it's kind of ends up being just, I don't know how to explain it.
I think I know what you mean. I've written a few things, some in 5 and 7 and 11 and stuff like that. But I like to think the things that I've written, you don't go, oh, that's in 5. It just kind of works in 5,
Yeah.
It's a bit like Pink Floyd, Money by Pink Floyd. You don't go, oh, that's in 7. You just know. You just
didn't come in on the first note there, did he?
Yeah. Whereas when I think it's when it's used as like not a gimmick, but like when it's carrying the idea, when the idea is 7/8, like that's what the idea is.
That's the strange part. I think that's just me really, because I'm not very good at time signatures. I can do 7/8 and 4/4. That's about it.
Yeah, 7. I feel like I like. That's all. I think a thing that's difficult to do, but I like it when it's done well, is when you have like 5 bars of something. So not 5/4. A lot of people would call that 5/4, but like 5 bars or 3 bars or 7 bars of something where it doesn't sound the slightest bit weird. It just kind of turns over at a point that you wouldn't expect. You get an extra bar of something that you maybe didn't expect to be there. I think that's quite cool. Where there's no weird time signatures. You're just playing a bit longer or a bit shorter.
Yeah. On the subject of that, I think one of the things that kind of always confuses me is when people have like a song that is just one riff after another riff after another riff, and like there's so many ideas, but there's never any repeat of any of those ideas, because 9 times out of 10 in there somewhere is a really cool riff that you want to hear again. So you get 2 minutes into the song, like, why hasn't it come back yet? Yeah.
Can you hear an ice cream van?
Bring it. Yeah.
That's me. It's good timing.
Yeah, I think there's not, sometimes with this progressive metal world, there's always become a thing of just stitch whatever you can stitch together. If it sounds cool, obviously, that sound, like, I like doing that from time to time, but also why not repeat something if it's good?
Yeah, I think it's the other thing of, obviously there are a lot of guitarists, I think, that just sort of write in a bit of a vacuum and don't think about what people are used to hearing and what sort of contemporary music, you've got to sort of somewhat like acknowledge that a lot of people listen to vocal music. Most people listen to music more often than not that has vocals on it. So if you're just writing a guitar driven song, you've got to fill that space, and you're probably not going to fill it by just writing loads of riffs one after the other, because how on earth would a vocal sit with that? And I
Because
think
unless your entire audience and your entire band is just guitarists, which don't get me wrong, a lot of mine kind of thing are, but you still want to have that appeal. Not, I don't want to say the word pop music, but there's a reason why pop music is pop music, because there's always something in there that is catchy to latch onto.
Yeah.
And it's the same with metal music. It's exactly the same. It's like a lot of, in some of like Periphery's like heaviest riffs, there's a thing in there that people will latch onto, and that's that little hook that they'll like the little themes that they brought back on the new album. People love that in the Alpha Juggernaut albums, and then they brought it back. Sick. It's what you need.
Yeah. I think there's way more space for some kind of like some sort of identity in your music. You talked about like not writing stuff just because you think it'll do well, and it's that, I think it's bringing that identity in through things like just repeating something. It becomes part, rather than just having loads of riffs. It's like, well, how do I know what this is meant to be? It's just like loads of different riffs one after the other. It feels more like a showcase than a song at that point, I think. Can sound a bit snobby, I guess, at this point. Depends what you like. But I think there's definitely space for more exploration of ideas, I think, is the rather than I think people take the progressive thing and they think it means literally progressing every 10 seconds.